What's cracking with you people? This is the Devious Wolf, and welcome back to another episode of Let Me Tell You Something. Today, let me tell you something about action-adventure games, starting with one of my personal favorites, and probably, up till this point, the best experience for Star Wars available. Up to this point. Now, we've obviously gotten much better experiences. But, I want to talk today about hybrid style games, action adventure games as it were. And I want to start with the Star Wars Jedi Knight series. Now, the Star Wars Jedi Knight series goes back about 4 games, if memory serves correctly, prior to, no, I think it's 3 games. And they focus around a Jedi by the name of Kyle Katarn. And it takes place in the original Star Wars series universe, which means Luke Skywalker, Han Solo, Leia Organa, Jedi use blasters and all that good stuff. This one is Jedi Knight Jedi Academy, which is a sequel to that series, I believe. If I remember correctly, this game also has a sequel to it. Well, it does. It's called Jedi Knight 2, if memory serves correctly. However, I don't rightly recall if Jedi Knight 2 is supposed to be a direct sequel to this game, story-wise, or if it's supposed to be a, what's we're looking for here? A prequel that happens to be a sequel. I don't really know. Now, I want to bring up action-adventure games, because an action-adventure game is a very unique sort of, what's I'm looking for here? It's a very unique series. In one instance, like here's how I categorize it. An action adventure game is a game whose primary focus is on, well, action for one thing. I'm gonna cut this audio out because this one actually does use the Star Wars fanfare, and I don't want to get a copyright, so we're going to be muting for this bit for the Star Wars fanfare. However, what I'm trying to find here. Okay, so you have 2 kinds of games. You have your action games, think Devil May Cry, Ninja Gaiden, God of War, Bayonetta, and several others that I am unfortunately missing. I do apologize. And then you have your adventure games. Think any RPG under the sun. I would categorize it as Final Fantasy, the Tales of series, Legend of Zelda. I would categorize those as pure adventure games. They have a higher emphasis on story and puzzle solving. That's what I categorize as an adventure game. An action game I categorize as mostly fighting, high octane, a higher emphasis on combat, a higher emphasis on gameplay as opposed to puzzles. Star Wars Jedi Knight is a blend of the two. There's a decent emphasis on the combat in this game. Now, the combat honestly hasn't aged that well. If I were to sit somebody down who was my age today, when I played this game back in the day, they'd probably say that the gameplay is very clunky.
That would be so great.
And it is. And I'm used to this gameplay, so I'm not gonna have too many problems with it. At least I hope not, given the fact that I'm recording a video right now. Who the heck knows?
Of course, you already have one.
In this game,
training sabers, and then I wouldn't worry about that.
there is an emphasis on story, but it's a very interesting kind of game. It's like a morale system. You choose to be a Jedi or a Sith, but the way you do it is that you don't actually pick your side. There will come a point in the game where you have to make a choice, and depending on how you view the storytelling in this game, is either well done or very rushed, like doesn't feel all that satisfying to do. But the interesting about this game is that you can actually pick from the light side of the Force and the dark side of the Force. The light side gives you protective abilities to Jedi mind trick and healing. The dark side gives you the iconic lightning, the iconic grip, and then two others, which I will not go into right now. Maybe at a later day if I decide to ever do this game, as I ever decide to play this game on the channel.
Is everyone all right?
Now I want to talk about action adventure games because
You lead the students to the nearby Massassi temple.
they're a very interesting breed, you know.
Affirmative,
Because
Academy.
having a
Always there.
hybrid style game is not something you see every day. Like, I remember when Borderlands came out, the big thing about Borderlands was that it was an RPG FPS. An RPS, as you will, a role-playing shooter, which you have a leveling system, it's an adventure, pretty wide open spaces, but it was a first-person shooter, let's be honest here. The big draw was the writing, which is phenomenal. I don't see very many hybrids. I don't see very many hybrid style games anymore.
Jaden, hey! I'm stuck.
And I suppose my next thing would be to ask you guys, what do you categorize
See if you can make your way around that.
as an adventure game? What makes an adventure game? What makes an action game to you? Because I consider this to be an action RPG because of how it plays, how it handles, how it conducts itself, for lack of a better term. I consider Zelda to be a straight up adventure game, not an action adventure game, an adventure game. Dude. Okay, Ross, you can. There you go. And of course it's going to be an action RPG because it's Star Wars. You have a lightsaber, like. Unless you're going to go like straight up RPG, and there is a very good RPG in the Star Wars universe, I will get to that one day. If you're, unless you're going to go straight RPG, for the most part, a Star Wars style game is going to be an action heavy game. Just because it's the lightsaber, it's the Force. You're going to have action at some point in the game. And I categorize an adventure game as a game that has a story. And there I go again with that story. Saw that I've been chipping away at for the last couple of minutes, but you guys know me by now. I categorize an action game as having a high emphasis on combat. Even if the story in the game is very, very good, ultimately what makes an action game is the gameplay. Ultimately what makes a RPG, an adventure game, is its story. Its story and world. And given that it is the Star Wars canon, you're going to have a lot to draw from. You're going to have the Force to draw from, the characters to draw from, the world to draw from, the history to draw from, and you can even create your own characters as seen in this game. None of these characters, Jaden, Rosh, Kyle, have been introduced inside the main Star Wars movie universe. Not sure they will. I hope they do. Probably not. Who knows?
You're the one with the lightsaber, after all.
And I am completely blanking on my point now. Do that a lot nowadays, don't I? But I don't see a lot of these hybrid games anymore. I don't. It's like up. I think about the time. I think I'm gonna die. I still have no idea how the Windows fights. I'm not gonna lie. I still have no idea how the Windows fights, even to this day. And I've had this game for years. I think maybe. I think maybe 12 years at this point in the game. Yeah, it's been a good minute. But the point I'm trying to make is that hybrid games don't really come out that often, or if they do, we don't notice them because we often associate one particular element of the game with being, oh, this is what it is. Like, if you were to play this game, if you were to play this game, probably not me. If you were to play, you probably categorize it as an adventure game, and I'm sure it's categorized as an adventure game somewhere. But it's more action adventure because of its emphasis on its combat, on making you feel like a Jedi, or feel like a person feel like a lightsaber wielding Star Wars Force using individual in the Star Wars universe. And
What happened? We were kind of hoping you could tell us.
What's the word I'm trying to use here? And we just don't see it happen. We just don't see very many hybrids. We just don't. Or if we do,
recall anything.
they're not considered hybrids. So my question is, for everybody watching, what would you classify
That sounds bad.
as a hybrid? What would you classify as
Yeah, I'm okay.
this is a one and done deal? Like this is clearly what they meant to do. This is like the only thing they focused on, or this is the only aspect they emphasize. What makes that for you guys? What?
Perhaps. Kyle.
How would you know it when you see it? You understand what I'm getting at?
Why don't you take the kids back home now? Be careful.
In the meantime, I've been a Devious Wolf. This has been
the shuttle.
the shortest segment of Let Me Tell You Something I think I've ever recorded.
Believe it.